An idea hunter is an individual, a professional who searches for ideas in unique places, unusual places, who has mastered the skills of finding ideas to kind of advance their professional, their company's interests, and has a voracious appetite for learning. So that's an idea hunter. And we'll talk about how to be a hunter more effectively. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about the notion of an idea and why this concept of an idea is so powerful and is the basis for this as individuals. All right? And ideas essentially fuel our future. They fuel our future in a macro sense, in an economic sense. And this work that influenced me 10, 15 years ago, I started reading the work of Paul Romer, who for a while was an economist at Stanford, but Romer came up with a theory of economic growth based on the power of ideas. Now, what do I mean by ideas drive our future? All right? Well, if we think about this idea, the idea of mass production, all right, Ford wanted to create transportation that everybody could afford. That was his mission, that was his objective. And what he ended up with was this idea, the assembly line, use of interchangeable parts, and everything that goes into it. And there's a set of ideas here that didn't just allow Ford to create this massive automobile firm, but also these ideas influence our society in huge ways in service manufacturing industries for many, many years and still do. Now, where did Ford get some of these ideas? Just two interesting side stories. One, he was in Chicago meatpacking plants visiting kind of with friends and other owners of these firms, and he saw the carcasses of beef moving down the assembly line. And he said, you know, wait a minute. If they're moving 1,000-pound carcasses of beef across and they're getting sliced and diced up, I can move automobiles the same way, masses of machinery. That's where he got some of the basic ideas for moving the automobiles instead of the people moving. Another area he got an idea, he was in France. He was an automobile race aficionado. So he's in France. There was a major accident on the track. He went over, he was looking around the debris on the ground, he picked some up, and it was a very light material. And he looked and he said, what's this? No one had an answer. He brought it back, he gave it to the engineers, and he said, find out what this is. They found out what it was. It was a highly unusual alloy, and it was strong enough and light enough to handle the cars in the assembly line. Without that discovery, without him going over to that debris of material, they never could have built that assembly line. That alloy allowed them to put it into the Model T Ford. So Ford had some ideas, but a lot of what he found out was from unusual places. So that idea drove economic progress. Another is this, right? Some truths are self-evident, and those truths are ideas in which this society is based, other societies around the world. So when Jefferson wrote this, he didn't sit in some corner and think of this. He got his ideas from the Netherlands, he got his ideas from France, and he put these ideas into a document that have affected all of us and still do. So the power of ideas are enormous.